the paper doesn't match the journal scope, okay, that's the painful one. Because I'm sure we all read the journal scope. We all think we're making the right decision, but um, you need to ask yourself, what is the message from your paper in one or two sentences, and who you want to hear it? Okay, that's your scope, and that needs to match the journal. Every journal has their aims and scope published, and this can also change over time. So you really need to look at that carefully. Also, you need to look at what type of papers on a related topic the journal recently published, because that's another way to, get your foot in the door, as they say. You can also do a pre-submission manuscript assessment in some cases to then save yourself trouble of submitting it. For instance, if you want to submit, to Nature or Science or someplace like this, that, 1 millionth of scientists publishes in their lifetime. But anyways, if you want to submit your paper like that to a place like that, they always ask you to submit, well, not always probably, but sometimes they ask you to submit an abstract of your work so that they can immediately discard you if you don't fit whatever they think would be appropriate. Okay, again, do not do this. Do not submit to two journals. That's illegal. It's unethical. It's just not what we do. If you do that, then I wouldn't trust any data I see from your lab, because I don't know if maybe you fudge that as well. Okay, so I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's what can come to the head of people. Or when you submit, we'll come to that. So let me just finish the thought. So, or when you submit a paper, for instance, that has spelling mistakes, that has commas or at the wrong place, or if the um, outline is not perfect in your text, people will think you're sloppy, and they will maybe look at your data and your paper altogether with a little big red flag actually above their heads. Okay, so you don't want to be there, and these things can be eliminated by in any paper before initial submission. So when the paper doesn't conform to journal's author's guidelines, means you did not do your homework. Okay, you need to follow, and I will show you for my favorite paper journal. When I don't know what to do, I go to Scientific Reports. I'll show you what they want. But anyways, you need to read this carefully. Okay, there is guidelines, there is word limits, there is number of figures, number of pages, the reference style they want to use, the type of file they want their figures in, the size, whatever. Okay, you need to know that and follow to the last point they make, to the T, as they say. So that would prevent you from having key elements missing, such as, for instance, if you don't have appropriate section for acknowledgments or something silly like this, or if um, you know all your co-authors didn't approve of the paper and things like that. Okay, and so you really need to do this carefully and don't rush, because you know how long it takes to get good data, and this is sometimes data analysis and writing papers and submitting them takes twice as long. So um, that includes good language. Okay, if the language is poor, it's not good. I said already, English is not my first language, and for many of you it's the same situation. I know that scientific writing is not writing poetry, okay? It needs to be cut and dry, to the point, using facts supported with references. It's just that simple, okay? And therefore, I believe no matter how um, challenging it is for you to express yourself in English, you can certainly put together simple sentences that would be professional. Most of the languages when academically speaking, we use very similar terminology. So you can literally translate from your mother tongue language using AI translator, if you will. Okay, for that you can do that, but don't use AI to generate the language, to generate the story. That's where you fail. Okay. And then you may have some friends or colleagues. Usually, universities may have translators that are officially in charge of academic translations and things like that. And then, there's companies like Editage that does these professional editing services. And I think it's quite important to present yourself in the best light to the world. Again, we mentioned this already about your results being of dodgy quality, if you will, poor quality. So the only way I know around this is to view it on your screen in the real size that would appear in the journal. That's the only way. And you should be able to see it clearly from arm's distance from the screen, I would say. So the font size, need to be of appropriate and so on. So you need to look at aesthetics, alignment, and everything, like grammar you would. So everything needs to be perfect. Excuse me. Finally, any ethical academic misconducts are punished. That's what you go to jail for in academia. Okay, so there's never going to be an instance of plagiarism that is allowed. You cannot publish data that doesn't exist, fabricating things, falsifications, all these things that I mean, several years ago there was, I think, more than one paper that was withdrawn from Nature, I believe, or Science, or somewhere like this, from the lab that was based at the National Institute of Health in United States, where the postdoc fudged all the data and the PI didn't know, but they were an author on the paper. So when, after several investigators were unable to repeat these findings, it came to light that the postdoc, wanting the fame of science, artificially created all the data, that everything was false. And this had serious repercussions on this person's career, which was basically shot as a scientist, because nobody will want to work with a liar, cheater, and person that manipulates the facts. And then, and the PI since then, I mean, they are literally watching everything that goes on in the lab because they cannot trust anyone anymore. So it's pretty traumatic experience for all involved. And when it comes to science, if you fudge something, eventually somebody will try to repeat what you've done. And when that doesn't align, somebody's going to be in trouble. And it's going to be people that fudge the data. So, okay, enough about that. Plagiarism, we've seen some great advice on different software available. I'm not sure which one is the best, but the best is just try to not do it in the first place, especially in mind AI. That's the main thing. I'm not too worried about you copying, by accident things from another paper, because when you run it through the plagiarism software, it will pick it up 100% guaranteed. AI stuff will also probably be picked up when it comes to these references and whatnot, but everything that gets flagged for plagiarism gets checked by humans, and you will not escape those. So it's just, yeah, don't even try to go there.